Hi everybody, I'm Gwen. Welcome to At Home with Gigi. Today we're going to be creating a beautiful riser using this wooden palette from Walmart, and we're going to start by giving it 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint. Once the paint is dry, I'm going to go ahead and attach the stencil using painter's tape, and I'm only going to be using one word on this stencil, and that's the word welcome. I don't think you can see it very well. And then I'll be using the color Truffle from Waverly Chalk Paint. And I'm just going to be using this little round sponge from the Dollar Tree to apply the paint. And as you can see, I picked up way too much paint, so I dabbed some of that off before I go in. Because if you have too much paint on your sponge, it could cause some bleeding with your stencil, and I want to prevent that as much as possible. As you can see, I got a little too carried away dabbing on the paint, went over a little too far, but a baby wipe just cleaned it right up, as you can see. Isn't this napkin beautiful? I just love it. And I've already removed both of the additional plies, and then I'm just going to be using my favorite method to detach the white and just separate the napkin, and that's just a tiny paintbrush with some water. I love the uneven edges that it gives. To me, it just makes it blend in with your project so much better. This video is part of the Napkin Exchange Challenge that's hosted every month by Sarah at Sunflowers and DIYing, and her co-host this month is Sunflower Tasha DIYs. I will have their channels and the playlist in the description box, and very appropriately this month, our theme for napkins is we're crafting our own stash, but we have to use sunflower napkins. So guys, y'all are going to get some fantastic inspiration. So make sure you go check out all the other videos and show them some love. I've gone ahead and added a layer of Mod Podge to each of the slats and let that dry before we move on to the next step. And we're going to be using the iron-on method to attach our napkin, and that is just simply letting your Mod Podge dry, and then as you can see, I've placed a sheet of parchment over my napkin, and I'm just very gently running the iron over it, and it's on very low setting, and it will reactivate that Mod Podge and cause the napkin to adhere to your surface. I had originally planned to remove the excess napkin as I was going along with, as you can see, water in the paintbrush, but I just was not a fan of how the jagged edges were looking. I know that's the whole point, and I do love that, but I just wasn't a fan of how it was looking, so I just decided to just leave the excess napkin, and then I would go back later and remove it with my finger sander and a nail file. I'm just going to continue with this process all the way around the palette until my eyes are happy with the amount of sunflowers that I have. Because of the way I've positioned the sunflowers where it's covering the gap between the two slats, I decided to go ahead and just use my finger sander and remove that excess napkin because I was afraid it might catch on something and then cause the napkin to tear, especially right there where that gap is. And I do go back later and just use my X-Acto knife and a nail file just to smooth all of that out. I decided while I was sanding, I might as well go ahead and just sand off all the excess napkin that I have placed on here so far. And as you see, I have an extra piece of parchment paper right there. And I did that on purpose because there's a tiny bit of the sunflower, the large one at the very bottom, that was hanging over onto that third slat. And I wanted to make sure when I was ironing that I didn't accidentally attach it to the two flowers there. So the parchment paper was just slid right up under those edges to keep it from attaching to that slat. And then I'm just going in with this nail file and just very, very gently removing that extra napkin. And this is very sped up. Like I said, this is just very gently because you do not want to tear your napkin. For our feet, we're going to be using these large beads, and they came from Amazon, and I've gone ahead and given them 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint and linen white. I've gone ahead and placed little marks on the palette just to make sure I'm going to get the legs or feet, whatever you want to call them, exactly where I want them, and I'm just going to use some Gorilla Hot Glue to attach the beads. Y'all, this was just so very fast and easy to do, really. I'm pokey in doing crafts because I like to take my time, but this was just so very fast to put together. You could use any napkins, any colors that you want. I chose this because next year I can use it throughout summer if I choose. I did take it outside and give it a good spray with Mod Podge and let it set. Then I sprayed it again just to seal everything in. I could not be more pleased with how this turned out, and I hope that you guys love this as much as I do. Comment down below and let me know what you think. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Don't forget the playlist down in the description box. Thank you, Sarah and Tasha, for hosting. I appreciate you both. And guys, I will see y'all next time. Bye.